Hey everyone, Bobby D here again, and thanks for popping in back over here at the BS Zone. Hey, if you own a motorcycle and you do some of your own work, you know how frustrating it can be to take your rear wheel off. You've got the chain grease, you've got the brake caliper hanger, and you've got those frustrating spacers that they just always want to fall out when you're trying to wedge your wheel back into the swing arm. I've got some tips, pointers, tools, and products that are going to help you make this job super simple, so follow along. All right, let's get right to this. You've got your rear wheel on your motorcycle. You've got the bike up on a stand, and you're ready to change your tire or maybe your sprocket. So you get your axle pulled out, and you realize everything just wants to drop down. The wheel wants to fall down. You have a spacer on each side that wants to fall out. Your caliper wants to slip and hit your rim, scratch things up, and you just have things going all over the place. That whole problem gets amplified and even more frustrating when you go to put this whole thing back together. The spacers are falling out, the caliper's not lining up, and things just get to be a little bit hectic, and you almost need a helping hand. That's where one of these tools come in that I'm going to talk about. So the problem comes from the wheel actually being off of the ground. So once you get everything pulled out, obviously your wheel drops down and all of this is no longer lined up. I'm going to show you guys a tool and a product that makes getting the wheel back in a snap. So the first tool I'm going to talk about is this Pittbull Tire Wedge. Now these things cost less than $100 and you know they look kind of gold and they're worth their weight in gold. You can get away in a pinch with using a piece of wood instead of this thing that I'm going to show you, but this thing really does make life easier in your garage or in your shop. So the way this tool works is you're simply going to take this and you're going to clip this on your Pittbull stand. It will work on some other stands too, but then what you're going to do is you're just going to crank this. If I can get a good angle for you guys. And it's like a little mini jack. So here we go. The Pittbull Tire Wedge is now nicely fixed right up underneath the tire. So when I pull the axle out, this wheel can't drop. Also, when I roll the wheel back in to remount everything, it's perfectly still lined up and the axle is going to go straight through. Now, what about those frustrating spacers that always want to fall out and go rolling across your garage floor? They've got grease on them, now they've got dirt on them. Just become a problem? Well, right here. Here's your solution. I've got some driven captive spacers. Now these are for the front and the rear. I've already done the front. These things went on really nice and easy, and they're really a simple product that you really don't need much in the way of instructions to, replacing the OEM ones. So my front ones are on already. I'm not going to show you guys that other than just a quick picture, and here's how they look mounted up. But putting these rear ones on is going to be the same thing. Once your wheel is off, you're just going to replace it with these and you're done. I'm going to show you the little lip on here that makes these captive, meaning they stay inside, as I pull this wheel off and let you guys see how simple these two tools make removing and reinstalling a rear wheel. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is put on some rubber gloves. This job still does get messy because you're screwing around with your chain and all that sticky chain lubrication that's all over that. So I'm gonna start off, there's your pro tip. Get yourself some latex or shop gloves to save yourself a little bit of mess here. First thing I'm gonna do, get the axle out. Slide the wheel forward just a bit to get the chain off of the sprocket here. There goes my first spacer. Would have went rolling away. Second spacer out. And I just pulled the caliper off. Just like that, I've got the wheel out. All right, so here we are. I've got the wheel removed. You can see there's some fresh grease in there. I've just recently had this wheel off. I'm not gonna pack any new grease up in there. It is pretty full. Here is my captive spacer. I'll grab this one here versus the non-captive. If you look at the OEM spacer, there's no ridge on there. Captive spacer has this ridge. What that ridge does is simply goes inside. Simple as that. I'm gonna flip this around. Do the exact same thing on the other side here. I'm just gonna wipe this off just a little bit. Make sure there's some grease down inside of there. And again, let me get the spacers here. Here is your standard spacer. And here is the captive spacer. Again, what I'm going to do is the small lip on this one. This big edge, obviously, it would not fit in there. But I'm going to take this and there we go. So as simple as that, I have got the captive spacers all installed. And now let's watch how easy it is to get this wheel back up into the motorcycle. Now this is the part where things normally start to get a bit frustrating. Those spacers go flying out, your calipers falling off, things get really all over the place. Watch how simple, watch how quick this is. First thing I'm gonna do, get my wheel lined up and get my caliper where it needs to go. On this DX10, there's a little notch it's gonna slide into. I'm gonna make sure everything is good to go with that. Here we go, let's slide this wheel into its home. Caliper is in place. Gonna get the chain lined up here. And I slid the caliper back just a tad. There we go. Everything is already lined up. So what I'm going to do is slide this back, make sure the axle hole is lined up where it needs to be. Get this in place here. It's as simple as that. Your wheel's back on. All I have left to do is torque down my axle nut and I'm all done. So as simple as that, using captive wheel spacers and the Pittbull Tire Wedge really make removing a wheel, especially the rear wheel, a lot easier on your sport bike. Hope you find this information good. See you next time.